What a weekend it was internationally for Canadian football players, good and bad. Let's start with Liam Miller. I mean, that's
Mhm.
just awful. Does his ACL last week against Burnley. It's announced this week he's done for the season.
Mm.
I mean, Craig had been playing so well this year for Hull, became really an important part of that attack,
Mm-hmm.
and was playing, getting his minutes under Jesse Marsh. I think he played in every game Jesse has coached, in whether as a sub or a starting player, looking really good, full of confidence, and
Yeah.
then done for the year.
Yeah. Devastated for him. It's just we've all had injuries at times, and it's a difficult thing to go through. It really is, especially when you're just at the, you're peaking and you're enjoying your football so much, and then you get basically kicked in the nuts and set back a massive amount, and it's a long road to recovery from these injuries, and it's you'll need all the support you can get.
Yeah.
How long is an ACL usually? I mean, it varies obviously, but I mean, he's done till next summer earliest, right?
9 months, usually best case, usually closer to a year.
Ugh,
Fuck,
yeah, that's just
No,
horrendous.
you feel for him, and it's so difficult because when you're in that routine and things are going well for you, you wake up in the morning, you got a little spring in your step, and you're just enjoying your football. And he was playing so well at Hull, like you said, with the national team, and for that to happen now, be out for a year, your routine's gone now. A few months in, you're going to start to feel that you don't feel a part of the team as well. Going in because you're on the treatment bed every single day, you're on your own working, and it's
swimming every day.
Mentally, it gets to you big time.
Oh God, I remember one of the pools we used to go into when injured, and on Mondays, I guess on Sundays they would get rid of all the water and put new water in the pool, and it was freaking freezing. Monday morning. It was like -5 in the water. It was like...
So you boys went in there and warmed it up before the Aquafit class came in.
Oh God, hated it.
But he's like it's shitty all around. Like, I'm gutted for him, for all the reasons you guys mentioned. But he was at Basel, right? He was in Germany, and then he was at Preston North End. Now he's at Hull.
Alone. Yeah.
So he seems like he's in the right place. It's the right fit for him as a player. He's excelling. He's doing really well. So he'll be valued. Not to say that you're treated any differently at a club when you're rehabbing, whether you're a player who's valued versus one who's lower in the depth chart. But I think mentally that will help him a lot in his road to recovery. That he feels like he's in a good place for his own progression as a player. And it's just it's going to be a long wait till he's back on the pitch, but I'm glad he seems to have found a place where he's, connecting and kind of vibing with the coach and the players and seeing himself kind of to new heights in terms of his career.
He's having surgery next week. Now, it's the ACL. That's one of the ones they'll use a cadaver's tendon for, right? Is that the one, or does it vary? Can they just patch it up?
It varies. Sometimes it's your hamstring tendon,
Okay.
but I don't know if they do that anymore. Usually cadaver.
Yeah. But you can rebound from that, though, is my point. Is that an injury? As it's one of the worst ones you can get as a footballer, obviously, because you're out for so long. But is it one that you can bounce back from?
Yeah, for sure.
Mm-hmm. Back in the day, they struggled with it, but nowadays they've been able to do a fantastic job on these.
What is the most fearsome injury for a footballer? Forget like broken legs, I understand, but I mean, actually, thankfully they recover, generally speaking, right? But what is the one injury that you avoid? Is it an Achilles? Is it an ACL? What would it be?
Cardiac arrest.
Well, well, there's that.
Yes.
Look at Eriksson. I mean, he came back from the dead and won a trophy before Harry Kane. I mean,
it's such a good line.
It is great.
Yeah. Well, cardiac arrest aside, I would say it's ACL, Achilles, because they're both absolutely debilitating and long term. And then one that doesn't get talked about enough is like a high ankle sprain. That's not a break, but it can affect you for years in your career where you don't regain full mobility. and your ankle is always a little bit kind of suspect, like it really affect like the way that you strike the ball, the way that you move on the pitch, have really long-term consequences.
That's pretty common in hockey, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a tough one. Anyway, we obviously send our well wishes to Liam Millar. On the other side, Tajan Buchanan, who broke his leg while playing for Canada last summer, of course, well, actually in training, is back on the bench this past weekend for Inter Milan. Didn't play, but back on the bench. That's I think returning a little earlier than they thought.
Mm-hmm.
But that's huge news for him, Craig. Brilliant news to see him, in a pair of football boots once again.
Yeah, I'd like to see him get some minutes, but for him to be in that position already, fantastic. And what a club to be at.
He never really broke through last year, right? He arrived late, of course, and had to earn his stripes, but got some minutes late in the season, didn't he? So it was going to be a massive year for him. What is the biggest obstacle for a player like him coming back from, what is it, 9 months out or whatever it is, from a broken leg? What is the biggest challenge? Is it between the ears, or is it the physical getting up to speed?
It's trying to get past the players in front of you that have been brilliant. Getting your opportunities and making it count.
Yeah. And it's your fitness levels are huge as well, because you think that the teams had their preseason, they're in that rhythm now of the season, and now you're playing catch up, and that's one of the hardest things to do, especially when you haven't had a preseason and trying to get back into it. And I mean, look, he's got who on the right side, Dumfries in front of him. That's a tough one to crack. And then what he's got to wait for is more or less Dumfries have a nightmare or get injured, and then he'll get his opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, like I think he came in to Inter. We expected him to get more minutes. He didn't really get it. So you like as a fan, you're feeling let down for him, and it's a difficult situation for him because you want to be at a place of renown and stature like Inter Milan, and no better place to earn your stripes, by the way, than Inter Milan. So you want him to get more minutes to find his footing, to find his form. But now they know him a little bit better. So like internally, they get a chance to sort of know him as a person, know him like what kind of character he is. And then also like the resiliency that he's having to show, like rebounding from this injury I'm not saying that's going to win him some minutes, but like you're more familiar with him. So if he's doing everything that he needs to do on the training pitch day in and day out, I mean, you're going to find yourself in a position where you might be able to win over the coach, and they might be more inclined to put you in. But as Jimmy said, it's gonna take, unfortunately, probably an injury to somebody in front of him in order for him to get his shot. And then once he gets that, then he's got to hit the ground running and he's got to perform. So pressure's on when that moment comes.
If you're Jesse Marsh, do you pick him anyway for the next window, or do you want to see minutes first? I mean, he's established, right, as if not a guaranteed starter, pretty damn close. Do you bring him back into the group anyway and say, hey, kind of to acclimatize him to the setup?
Yes, unless
so funny, Jimmy. It's a tough word, okay? Reacclimate.
Yeah.
Reacclimatize?
Right? Reacclimate. Reacclimatize. It's acclimate, isn't it?
I don't know now. I said it too many words now, and I'm like, I don't know anymore.
Sorry, Craig.
No, I was just saying that I think that it all depends on where he is at the club at that moment too. If he's not going to feature with the Canadian national team and he's building his fitness at Inter, then it might be best that he stays at the club.
Yeah, it's a tough one because I think moving forward, Buchanan's going to be a big part of this Canadian men's national team, and if Jesse Marsh can get him a couple of minutes, get him back within the squad, I think it's a good thing as well. Seeing as he's been missing for so long, being on the sidelines at Inter, not being involved with the national team, I think it's the right thing to bring him in and just get him back with the squad and get him on the pitch.
And that right wing position, or assuming it's going to be a right wing position, it's still not. That's one of the areas in the field that isn't cemented just yet. Ali Ahmed's been brilliant. I love him, but he hasn't said that's my position. I still think Tajan, an informed Tajan's probably got the nod on Ali at this point. So there's kind of a competition for places there, right? It's not like it's a central midfield position where it's going to be Coney and Eustachio more than likely. And Tajan can play on the left as well, right? And obviously you got Schafferberg, but now with Liam Millar out for the next year or so, it's all this depth we talked about with Canada out wide. Another wide player. It's like, well, thank Christ,
Yeah.
thank God, because we've seen how quickly it can change.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but like Jesse Marsh was really impressed with Ali Ahmed. He was
Oh
talking
no,
about
I'm not criticizing him. He was great.
Mhm. So for sure, like if you've got an in-form, 100% healthy Tajon Buchanan, I think that's a no-brainer. Like that's who your starter is. But your depth, as you're saying, is really encouraging in that men's national team.
I think though, stealing the weekend from a Canadian perspective was Alistair Johnston taking the armband for the first time from the start of a match, and not just that, but scoring a diving header, like Andy Gray from 1987. As Celtic beat Motherwell 3-0. I mean, holy shit, Craig, this boy, he has just found the right club, hasn't he?
Oh, it's fantastic. I mean, he's just a great guy, great player, great teammate. And obviously they see that and it resonates right through the club. The fans love him. The players obviously do too. And when he's put in that position, he's excelled. So hadn't missed a beat, did a good interview after the game. I mean, he's box office, the guy. He absolutely has been box office.
Celtic Nation, man, just love this guy. I put a tweet out yesterday about it and it went freaking crazy. Once again, like our interview with Alistair. Celtic Nation grab hold of these things, right? And the numbers are just insane, like hundreds of thousands of likes, which is unheard of. It's brilliant. I love the guy. He's done so well. He won't get much coverage here in Canada. We know that, Dubs. But we know how big that club is. It's one of the biggest sporting clubs in the world, but it is in the Scottish Premier League. Is it better to be, a captain or a integral member of a club that size in a smaller league, or at some point will he get the urge to play even for a smaller club, because most clubs are smaller than Celtic, but in a bigger league, maybe south of the border?
Yeah, it could be. I mean, as a player, you always want more. You want to test yourself. You want to challenge yourself. You want to get out of your comfort zone. But I think for right now, for the present, he's in exactly the right place where he's been embraced by the fans, by the club, by the worldwide Celtic nation. But he's done it back. Like Forrest was mentioning the interviews, like he's always smashed interviews, right? Every interview with Alistair Johnston, is going to be a home run. He's extremely likable. And that's what you want in a captain, and everything that he stands for on the pitch, whether he's playing for Canada or he's playing for Celtic, or playing in Europe at Parkhead. I think when you think about a player and you envision yourself in an environment, it's hard to beat that. But I mean, the leadership and the character that he shows time and time again is what you want in your captain. And again, maybe this is a guy, I mean, he's already in a leadership group for Jesse Marsh and the men's national team, but I could see him wearing the armband one day for Canada. Absolutely. But I think for him, next steps, not right now. I think he's exactly where he needs to be, for sure. I think he wants to test himself. He wants to challenge himself. And I think he has the wherewithal and the talent, the quality to move to a bigger league eventually.
Do you agree there, Jimmy? Is he good enough to play in a bigger league, or has he found his level?
No, I think he's good enough to move on to that next level. And I think he'll enjoy this moment that he has within his career at Celtic, putting on the armband. It's a massive achievement. And going on to what Craig and Dubs are saying, I mean, for the fans to love him, the players, I mean, he is box office. There's no doubt about it. But I think at some point, I think he's going to want to push himself as a player. He just seems like that type of kid. And I think he'll want to go test the waters, maybe one day, maybe south of the border. Maybe it is in Spain. Maybe it is in Italy. He has the talent, and I think he'll want to go push himself.
Yeah, I mean, Callum McGregor's the captain there, right? And he's hurt right now. So that's why Johnston got the opportunity. But obviously, he's going to be there for a while. McGregor, I think he's just quit international football, hasn't he? I think. So focusing more on his club career. But still, just for me, as a Canadian fan, just watching a Canadian put that armband, Craig, for Celtic, a team that I watched growing up, right? And when they were a legitimate force in world football back in the 80s. And just knowing how big this club is. Now, no matter where you go in the world, any town, any city, there's a Celtic club somewhere where they gather and watch their game. It's just enormous. We don't really appreciate it here in Canada. We don't understand it.
Yeah.
Unless you're close to football, right? It was surreal seeing that.
Yeah, their following is just insane. I know that testimonials back in the day, if you spend 10 years with a club, you have a testimonial, and everybody would love to have Celtic because it didn't matter where you were in Great Britain, at least they would show up in their thousands, even for a testimonial.
Yeah.
Fantastic club.
Yeah, good for him, man. That's brilliant. Nico Seeger, he scored as well for Hajduk Split coming off the bench. Do you see his? I mean, he's received a lot of hate in Croatia since deciding to play for Canada. And I was on social media. I found the goal, actually. They showed on social media. And post-match, he was saying how he loves, it's incredible playing for Canada. And some of the comments, oh, man. Just some really nasty, petty people. Get the fuck out of our country then, you scum. This kind of shit.
Really?
Brutal. Oh, yeah. This is a young player really hearing it. Yeah. It's just reality, right? Of football nowadays. Don't go on social media if you're a footballer.
Yeah.
But he scored a nice goal. He's playing really well. John David, again. That game for Lille was crazy, by the way. So he scores from the spot in the 96th minute, 1-0. They score another one 5 minutes later and win 2-0 in the end against Lens in their derby. Mm-hmm. He is on fire. Scored 2 goals against Atletico Madrid during the week as well. Where's he going? Jesus Christ, man! He could sign in January, Dubs. What's he worth? What do you think John David's worth right now? He's a free agent. I know he can't get a transfer fee unless they sell him in January, which they won't, I don't think. But, I mean, he's going to be one of the biggest name free agents outside maybe his mate Alphonso Davies this offseason.
I have no idea. You went to the wrong person to ask me for a number. I'm a continual ruiner of games. I either chronically underestimate or I go so high that I wreck the game. So I have no idea of the number. But he's certainly playing the game right now where his worth is just skyrocketing with every single performance that he puts in, whether it's in Europe or for the league. Because I think that was the knock on him, right? He's doing it in Liga. Can he do it somewhere else? Yeah, I think he's proven now that he can do it against big opponents, not just the lesser opponents.
Yeah. That puts his price tag up around 50, 60, 70 million.
That's the worth, isn't it?
Yes, that's what I was going to say. Yeah, that number.
I would love to see his agent every time he scores a goal. I bet you he is dancing all over the place.
Yep. That salary goes up, right?
Newspaper on his lap.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Small chub, bigger chub.
Makes your job as an agent pretty easy.
But I give him credit, Jimmy, man. This guy's backed himself, right? He could have got a move this past summer somewhere. There were teams sniffing around. He could have got that security. It's a nice long contract. But no, he's backed himself again, saying, no, I'm going to play out my contract here. And I'm going to show you what I'm worth. And then have my choice of teams.
Yeah, he's going to be able to pick where he wants to go. If he keeps performing the way that he is and scoring goals against these big clubs, he'll decide his future. Nobody else will.
So where do you think he goes? You're John David. Where do you pick to go? What league, what team?
Barcelona was the most recent rumor last week.
Yeah. I think he's going to want to go somewhere where he's going to win trophies. And if Barcelona's knocking on the door, that's one club for sure. Who knows? It's a guessing game, and I have no idea what his thought process is. But he's going somewhere big.
You look at Barca. I mean, Lewandowski's still scoring a shitload of goals, right? But he's an old guy. He's towards the tail end of his career, right? There might be an opening there and a really young, dynamic Barca. You can't go wrong with that, can you? But I'm from a selfish standpoint. Even like Fonzie being linked to United, I hate it in that as United, but the selfish part of me would love to see him in the Prem because I watch so much of it. That'd be incredible. So I imagine John David and Fonzie both in the Prem next season.
Both at Man United.
God,
imagine that.
It'd be so difficult, wouldn't it?
I would be conflicted. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. You want to see them do so well, but you can't support United.
No,
you can't just switch and say, well, I want to hate them now.
Yeah, you can.
No, you can't.
No, you cheer for the individuals. I think that was somebody. It was Sean Whitaker, pirate lawyer on Twitter, and he was. I also posted something about Alistair. It didn't go as viral as your tweet, Charms, but just like that was great to see. And I think I can't remember what other club he supports in the Scottish Premier League, but he's like, I can't cheer for Celtic. I was like, then you cheer for the lad, you cheer for the boy, and he's like, of course.
Yeah.
So I'll cheer for John David. I'll cheer for Fonzie or whomever is there who's a Canadian, but I'm not cheering for United.